Welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. Hey, if everything goes down, and hopefully it doesn't, but things are not looking real good, we may have a period of time where things get a little bit tough. They say the end of July that I guess unemployment and some other things will be ending. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But whether it's the whole country or just your personal circumstances, things could get bad for a while. What are you going to do? Maybe you've got enough food stored up for a month or two. Then what are you going to do if this lasts for a few months? Well, let me give you just a few suggestions. One thing is you can... Most people don't think about, they just think tea is just something you drink once in a while, but there's a lot of nutrition in tea, and you may not be able to get black tea or green tea. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to do things like this. This is lemon verbena. You're going to take the leaves and you're going to make tea with it. You can make fresh water. You can make tea. You can dry some for this winter. Be prepared. Say, well, I don't have any lemon verbena. What else can I make tea out of? This is an olive tree. You can make tea out of many tree leaves. So olive leaves are exceptionally good for you, and they really make a nice tea. Okay, so you say to me, hey, I don't like all these off-flavored things. I'm not used to drinking all that stuff. My taste buds just aren't up to it. I just like my black tea. Well, you may not be able to get your black tea, but excuse me, there is some things that taste very similar to black tea. One of those are blackberry leaves. Yeah, the fruit's good. Yeah. Yummy. But the leaves are good too. And they taste very, very similar to black tea. Your regular old, like I used to drink years ago, Lipton tea. But right now is the time when there's still some new leaves coming on. These young tender ones are going to be probably your best and most nutritious. So right now is a great time to collect blackberry leaves and dry them for this winter. Because we're in a tough situation with China right now, and that's where most of our black tea comes from. So you might want to be prepared for that, especially if you like tea. Or maybe you're not a great tea drinker, but you want to be healthy and you want to have some vitamins. Well, if you don't have a lot of food, you can drink a lot of tea because there's a lot of things you can. Okay. You can do this the same with whether it's leaves off a tree or whatever you're going to be using. And you just take the leaves, you pick the branches. You could put them in a dehydrator on a light, but I didn't. If you don't have a dehydrator, don't worry about it. You pick them. It's hot summertime right now. I just laid these out. Actually, they were just laying there because I was in a hurry. I laid them down. We ended up being gone for a while. When I came back, they were all dry, and they still smell really great, really good. Okay, here they are dried. Can you see? There they are dried. Then all you do is put them in a jar or whatever to keep them in. I happen to have this jar where I can write on there. Make sure you write. The only bad thing, see, I had 2020 on there, and then the verbena, it wipes off. So a lot of times I just put tape. I write it on the tape and put the tape on the jar. It stays better than the chalk does. But yeah, there's your leaves. You just use them like tea. It's very, very simple. That's how you do it. Okay, a lot of herbs like lemon balm. It has a really good flavor too. I do dry a little bit of lemon balm, but it's really touchy. It's a very fine, the leaves, you have to really be careful in drying it, and you lose so much when you dry it. So I just put it fresh and green in a big jar of water, stick it in the fridge overnight or for a day, and then when you drink it, the water, it's still pretty much clear. The longer you leave it in there, it gets a slight tint, but it has this wonderful, refreshing taste. I don't know what you'd call that. I guess it's a type of tea, but it's not like regular tea, I guess. It just looks, it's just a flavored water, actually. You can throw some slices of fruit in it too in the summer or whatever. But if you dry some, you have to dry it really carefully, and then you can mix it with other things, maybe chamomile or whatever you might have available. Now, I was telling you about tree leaves. Another thing that you can save for this winter, just a tip, I mean, there's so many, is peach leaves. Peach leaves are super nutritious for you, and you wouldn't believe it's like eating peaches in the wintertime. The leaves smell just like they taste like a very light, fine peach. It makes a wonderful tea, peach leaves. Okay, folks, if you don't know how to do it, all you do, pick some of the leaves. You don't want to strip a whole branch. Just pick here and there, leaves here and leaves there, and then dry them lightly, not on a high heat, and store them in a jar, scrunch them up, crumple them up after they're dried, use them just like you would black or green tea, and then strain out your water, and you have a wonderful cup of tea. Once you start getting into it, it's actually fun because you start experimenting, and now's the time while you have stuff available to experiment with and find some of your favorite mixtures. Try to get into it. Tea is so nutritious for you. It's probably a survival tip that most preppers and survivalists, at least a lot of them, don't always talk about, or some of them. They don't get into it a whole lot, and I think it's so important. It's most wonderful things that you can do. Okay, I had a phone call, so I was wanting to talk about some staples that you might think about when we were talking about Little House on the Prairie and how they lived off potatoes for a while. Potatoes are a really good idea. Now, I got some potatoes out of this, and then I left some and repacked them up. Looks like the bugs are getting to this one now. They found them, but I've had them growing for a while. And then earlier there was a hole in the ground. I threw some potatoes. I didn't think they'd ever come up. They'd been in there a few months, and all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, I saw the green coming up. So they're growing. Okay. Then I had this old tub down there, and I had some potatoes that were sprouting. So yesterday, or day before, I threw some potatoes down in there, some dirt and some potatoes, and covered them with hay. And when they come sprouting up, I'll put more dirt and hay and just add to it. And now there's something else that's a good staple to think about. Uh-oh, I got to get my chickens out of the garden, but sweet potatoes. Hold on. Okay, sweet potatoes. I'm growing them all anywhere I can find anywhere to put some slips. I grew some slips, and I also had sweet potatoes with slips growing out of them, and I also grew some with the sweet potatoes. They seem to do better, a little better for me than some of the times. The slips seem to die easier than the ones that are just growing on the sweet potatoes. But the neat thing about sweet potatoes is the versatility. You can eat the sweet potato itself during the winter, but during the summer and fall, you can be eating some of the leaves. I love sweet potato leaves. They become one of my new favorite greens. They're awesome. So sweet potatoes they're a dual purpose plant that would really be good for you. And even though it's June, kind of depending on where you live, if you can do it or not, if you have a greenhouse or whatever, because it does take a while for sweet potatoes, but nevertheless, I started some now. So, do what you can do, experiment, see what you can come up with. You got to fight a little bit and struggle a little bit to get something going. We really need to be prepared. Our grandparents went through the Depression, and they had people that had stored and knew how to grow stuff and this and that they fared much better. But anyway, yeah, sweet potatoes is another good one. Okay, look at my corn. It is like 8 or 9 or 10 feet tall. It is really getting tall. On the other side, it's catching up on this lower end too. But anyway, I wanted to talk about legumes. Along the edge and around the back, you can't see it from here, I've got black-eyed peas growing. You're going to get protein from a lot of your legumes. That you need protein. If you can hunt and get some meat, that's great. May be difficult to do that, no matter where we're at, because of the craziness that's going on. Who knows what's going to happen? But you do get a lot of protein out of legumes. And I love black-eyed peas. I don't know how, there's probably some of you out there never even had black-eyed peas, but they're a wonderful legume to eat. Okay, and then we also have another legume that I planted was pink beans. Those are wonderful. I grew up on pink beans. Mom used to make really good chili out of the pink beans. So they're coming up really well here. The last time I counted, I had 50 plants. I may have some more that have come to, I got them planted in other places too. But yeah, beans, legumes of any sort, they're a good choice. So, okay, maybe you don't have anywhere to grow a garden, then just keep trying to buy a few cans extra, this or that, when you go shopping. Maybe you don't have a lot of money, but you can afford an extra can of beans or an extra can of raviolis or whatever it is that you want. You've got to have some food set aside because people, just in case, we could have a really hard time. Our country went through in the 30s a Great Depression. That was not an easy time. People that lived out in the country made it a little bit easier. They had food, but it was still hard. And we may be going through some rough times for a while. So just a few tips I wanted to share with you. I'm sure after I close this video out, I'm going to think of a whole bunch more. But those were a few things that were on my mind. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if I feel inclined to so do. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I've already got things running through my mind now, but I'm going to close for now with those few tips. I want y'all to be thinking about how you can prepare yourselves, because there's a lot of good people out there in YouTube land that I've run into, and I really care, and I'm concerned about y'all, and I want you to take care of yourselves. So we'll catch you later. Bye-bye now.